Welcome to Justice with Jack. Today's courtroom case shocked an entire city. A homeless man walked into court wearing torn clothes and carrying an old backpack. People laughed at him before the hearing even began. But within a few hours, Judge Jack would reveal a secret hidden for decades, and the billionaire who mocked him would lose everything he owned. The billionaire, Victor Stone, arrived with expensive lawyers and bodyguards. Cameras followed him as reporters asked questions. He smiled confidently because he believed the case would end quickly. Across the courtroom sat Samuel Reed, a quiet homeless man who looked exhausted. Nobody imagined that Samuel had evidence capable of destroying Victor's entire business empire. Victor laughed loudly and pointed at Samuel. "This beggar thinks he can fight me in court?" he said. Several people in the audience chuckled. Samuel remained silent and looked at the floor. Judge Jack entered the courtroom and immediately ordered everyone to remain respectful. The judge noticed Samuel's calm expression and decided to hear both sides carefully before making any decision. Victor's lawyers argued that Samuel had illegally entered private property owned by Victor's company. They demanded millions in compensation and asked the court to ban Samuel from returning to the land. Their presentation looked perfect, and they acted as if victory was guaranteed. Samuel quietly listened without interrupting, holding his old backpack tightly in his hands. When Judge Jack asked for Samuel's response, the courtroom became silent. Samuel slowly opened his backpack and removed a faded leather folder wrapped in cloth. The papers inside looked old and damaged by time. People whispered and laughed again, assuming the documents were worthless. Judge Jack accepted the folder and began examining every page with great attention. Inside the folder were property records, handwritten agreements, tax receipts, and photographs from more than 30 years earlier. Judge Jack carefully compared the signatures and dates. His serious expression suddenly changed. Even Victor's lawyers noticed that something important had been discovered. The laughter in the courtroom disappeared as everyone waited for the judge to speak. The documents showed that Samuel's late father had legally purchased the land decades ago. Due to corruption and missing government records, the ownership had never been transferred properly. Victor's company later built its headquarters on that land. The courtroom gasped when Judge Jack read the names and dates aloud. Victor's confident smile slowly disappeared. Victor's lawyers quickly checked the government database using their laptops. After several minutes, their faces turned pale. Every document matched official records. One lawyer whispered to Victor that the papers appeared genuine. Victor stared at Samuel in disbelief. The homeless man who had been mocked moments earlier was now connected to the land beneath Victor's billion-dollar headquarters. Judge Jack looked directly at Victor and asked, "Rai, did you know your company occupied land that never legally belonged to you?" The courtroom became completely silent. Victor tried to answer, but no words came out. Reporters leaned forward while cameras focused on his face. Samuel remained calm, as if he had waited many years for this moment. An elderly retired government officer was called as a witness. He admitted that powerful businessmen had bribed officials years earlier to hide Samuel's father's ownership records. The courtroom erupted with whispers. Judge Jack ordered everyone to remain quiet while the witness explained how the original documents had been removed from public files. Victor's lawyers attempted to stop the testimony, claiming the witness was unreliable. Judge Jack rejected the objection and reminded them that facts mattered more than expensive arguments. The retired officer then produced copies of old government correspondence proving that warnings about the land had been ignored. Victor's expression grew more anxious with every new document. Samuel finally spoke. He explained that his family had lost everything after his father's death. They spent years searching for the missing records, but were ignored because they were poor. Samuel became homeless while trying to uncover the truth. He said he never wanted revenge. He only wanted the land that legally belonged to his family. Judge Jack ordered a forensic team to verify every signature and document. After several hours, the experts confirmed that Samuel's evidence was authentic and had not been altered. The courtroom fell silent again. Victor's lawyers realized the case was collapsing. The billionaire who entered with confidence now looked completely defeated. Reporters rushed outside to broadcast the breaking news. Headlines appeared across the city. Homeless man challenges billionaire in court, and Darauer's hidden property records shock judge. People gathered around television screens while social media exploded with reactions. Samuel's story began spreading far beyond the courtroom walls. Judge Jack ruled that Samuel Reed was the lawful owner of the land. Victor's company had occupied the property illegally for years and would be required to pay massive compensation. The audience gasped as the decision was announced. Samuel closed his eyes for a moment, struggling to believe that justice was finally arriving after so many difficult years. Victor stood up and apologized, saying he had trusted the wrong people. Samuel listened quietly and replied, "Raw money can buy buildings, but it cannot return the years my family suffered." The courtroom became emotional. Even some reporters stopped writing and simply watched the two men standing before Judge Jack. Judge Jack also ordered a criminal investigation into everyone involved in hiding the original ownership records. Several former officials were summoned, and investigators began reviewing old financial transactions. Victor's empire faced lawsuits, public criticism, and government scrutiny. The powerful businessman who once seemed untouchable was now fighting to save what remained of his reputation. As Samuel prepared to leave the courtroom, people who had laughed at him earlier stood up and apologized. Some offered him food, clothing, and assistance. Samuel thanked them politely but remained humble. He said the case was never about becoming rich. It was about proving that truth should not depend on a person's appearance or social status. The media called it the greatest courtroom twist in the city's history. Samuel received legal ownership of the land and enough compensation to rebuild his life. Victor lost major business contracts as investors abandoned him. The story became a national discussion about corruption, power, and the danger of judging people by their clothes. Judge Jack closed the hearing with a final message. And never judge a person by appearance. Truth may remain hidden for years, but when it finally comes to light, even the richest person cannot escape justice. Samuel walked out of the courthouse with tears in his eyes, while Victor left surrounded by reporters and unanswered questions. Justice had finally been served.